For the full version of this podcast, you will need to listen to it in its native audio form. You can do this by using a podcasting platform such as Podbean or iTunes from your mobile device. Be sure to follow the FullBOOST podcast for episodes as soon as they are released. But now, onto the podcast. George, episode 5.
We've made it to number 5. Yes.
It's been 3 months, you know.
3 months, has it?
Yeah.
Since our last one.
And ironically, today we're going to talk about electric or EV vehicles, and we're in an engine building room.
The irony. That's true, actually. Jeez, I didn't think about that. 3 months. Well, I guess it was late last year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, where's this year gone? It's already mid-March.
I was saying the same thing with our first episode. Like, where does the time go? Yeah. I mean, mayhem. Most of the end. I mean, it's actually funny because my end of year, my new year has started like my end of year. It's almost like I didn't get a break. It was just mayhem finish, mayhem start. So, I'm happy.
I took 2 weeks off and I thought I'll catch up on stuff, but
we had actually organised to do this over the break too. Yeah, we were going to spend some time videotaping and doing some stuff in the shop, and that didn't happen.
I don't know where the time's gone, but
no.
Anyway. Yeah, so we're going to talk about electric vehicles today.
I can imagine the joy of all our listeners. The joy of EV stuff. But look, I mean, I was thinking about it. You and me, we're very similar in the sense that we can appreciate our industry as a whole. We're not one-sided. It's not like, it's LS or Barra or V8 or Carby, or we can appreciate.
But I hate Barras, just everyone says I hate Barras.
Okay, there you go. But regardless, we can appreciate anything automotive.
Yeah.
And I think that's.
I have zero brand loyalty.
Me too. I'll agree to that. Like, mainly I deal with the Holden stuff, but I can appreciate anyone's effort doing anything automotive.
Yeah, same
and I think that's how it should be. We should all applaud it because, I mean, at the end of the day, it supports my business.
Yeah, and too many people get pigeonholed into just using or buying or whatever one type of car their whole life.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like, try something else. You can always sell it if you don't like it.
That's the thing too.
Buy another car.
Yeah, but I mean,
especially secondhand, you can buy a very good car now for under 10 grand, like on the secondhand market.
Very well, yeah. I just recently bought a new car too, and let me tell you, for what I got, I don't think I could buy a European model of that year model with that size engine. Again, you know what I mean? I can't buy it for the price I did an Australian built car.
No.
And same thing, no brand loyalty. I don't care. It's just like that suited my needs. I bought it. So happy days.
Happy days.
Happy days, man. Happy days. We're all happy.
Well, speaking of talking about money, that's where electric vehicles, are a bit out of the price range of most people, aren't they?
For the moment.
Yeah.
I think till it becomes... It's a bit like, it's like in my game, what I've noticed, a lot of people find the tuning side of things as a black art.
Yeah.
It's like, something's gone wrong with the car, it must be the tune, because people don't understand it. And it's not till you troubleshoot with the customer, you're like, it's got nothing to do with the tune. It's because mechanically this has happened and that's what's causing the car to run like this. And I think the EV stuff's probably similar. We don't understand initially 100% what it's about or how it works or what the procedures are or the process. I mean, even myself, I'm electrically well-minded, and even I still look at it and think, is it something I want to delve into? Do you know what I mean? But I do find it interesting, absolutely.
I find it interesting, and I like the fact that they're out there, but obviously petrol motors are still around.
Yeah. And
part of me thinks it would be pretty boring if internal combustion engines weren't here.
They'll never leave. They won't leave.
Well, it won't happen in our lifetime.
No,
I say that to
lifetime.
people who are under cars, and they just laugh at me. And I'm like, are you serious? It'll be a long time before it's EV only.
Look, they've said that we've got, I think, 30 years left worth of petrol resources.
Yeah, we're always on peak oil.
Yeah. But then again, I mean, Australia trying to go green with their ethanol equipped cars. That I don't think that worked out too well. Regardless, we can all make ethanol.
There's no infrastructure for ethanol.
No, there isn't.
You might as well have an electric car.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't get it.
No. Well, it's not that you can't get it. I don't think people. It sort of works both ways, because the problem with ethanol is, it was supposed to be cheaper, right? And then when it first came into the market, I think it was up to 10 cents cheaper or 8 cents.
It
was a fair bit. It was a fair bit.
It was about 30 cents cheaper.
Yeah, it was massive. So ethanol was like real cheap. But then it wasn't until they realised, hey, no one's using it for the run of the daily stuff. All these hotties are using it. We'll put the price up. And it's only like, 2 cents cheaper than the normal E10. Well, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? There's more ethanol content, less fuel. Why are we paying the same price?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But then, and again, I don't think, like you said, the infrastructure isn't there because, United had it. Caltex brought it in and they claimed it as flex fuel, so they couldn't even give you a reading as to what it was, because I had some guys at the time that thought it was better than the United stuff, and they were buying it and testing it, and it was coming in at like 60% ethanol. And that's about it. That was the only two companies that really brought it in massively. You could buy it out of the drum, but I mean, guys that were using them in their dailies weren't going to go buy them out of the drum. And secondly, you use more of it.
Yeah, you do.
You're using more of it.
So it's hard to justify that to someone who's not into the performance side of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Whereas for us, mate, I'll go through 100 litres of V85 if I have to just get from A to B, but because at the end of the day, the engine's set up for it and I'm asking for peak power. Yeah. But you got to tell that to a bloke that's bought his, VFSS with flex fuel or VE, whatever it was, flex fuel, and he wants to, improve his carbon footprint. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to work.
The other day, I was driving with the family, and I was in the rear vision mirror. I see a VL Calais coming fast up in the right lane. I'm like, let's put the window down. Goes past the full gate. It's driving a bit fast, mind you.
Yeah.
And my missus goes, "What is that smell?" And I go, "That, love, is E85."
It's actually funny.
Just engulf the car.
Yeah, it's actually funny because my eldest son is 5, and the one thing he loved the most was obviously driving in the VT, because I had it as a street car. So I'd put him in the car and we'd go for drives all the time. Now we could be anywhere, and a car, and it's happened probably more than ever over this summer for some reason. But we'd be out for lunch or whatever, or driving around or walking around, and a hottie will cruise by on E85, and he'd pick up on it. Hey, Dad, that smells like your car. Hey, Dad, that smells like your car. Hey, Dad, that smells like your car. I'm like, mate, I've trained you well. You are totally aware of what ethanol is. But it's a good smell, and that's probably one element of what EV lacks.
EV lacks a lot of things.
Yeah, well, look, our culture will never agree to EV.
No.
Australian car culture will never agree to EV.
If you've grown up with, V8s and noisy cars and...
But I mean, look, you're heading to Jamboree this weekend, right? Sydney Jamboree this weekend. Take being there. You close your eyes and you just walk through a race meet. What's that one thing that engulfs you? Noise and smell. You're not going to get that with EV. And they're probably the two most exciting senses apart from visual. You know what I mean? That's really going to engulf you in the sport. You know what I mean? It's that smell of burning rubber. I mean, burning rubber you're going to get an EV, but methanol, E85, C16. That smell of just like two-step and the noise, and you're not going to get that with EV. You'll never get that, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad. I mean, I mentioned it to some people. Yeah, I've had a few people tell me I need to change industries because we won't have a job in 5 years, and I just nod and go, "Are we all right?"
We're fine.
Because there's nothing. The biggest problem with EV vehicles in Australia is price. They're so expensive here.
Expensive, yeah. And I mean, the only people that have made EV, let's be honest, the only people that have made EV, appealing to the eye is Tesla. And I mean, you look at all the other EVs. Like, what did Holden have? The little Volt What's a Prius look like? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not appealing in that regard.
Jaguar, have you seen that I-Pace?
I've heard of it, but I haven't. I haven't.
Like an SUV.
Yeah.
Really nice looking thing, but by the time it's in your driveway here, you're looking at 200.
That's unaffordable, dude.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'd rather buy a $20,000 car and save the other $180,000 for petrol for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually made a couple of notes.
Yeah.
About this, and like, so this I-Pace has got 400 horsepower, 300 mile range. It can do 0 to 80% charge in 40 minutes at a 100 kilowatt charger, but 7 kilowatt home charger is 10 hours, but most people don't even have that. Like, that's another massive issue. You buy an electric car, you've really got to upgrade the power grid at your house.
Absolutely.
Like, running it off 240 volts.
It'll take forever. Need three-phase.
Yeah, you have to go three-phase at a minimum. So there's more cost.
Trying to get three-phase in residential areas isn't
not
easy.
always
Is
easy.
Yeah.
I reckon you could, though. If you had an electric car, I'm sure...
Oh, there'd probably be an exemption.
The government might only take 18 months. The local council might take 18 months to approve a permit.
Probably, yeah.
But you might get it through. But once you've actually got the car running, the service costs are probably a third of what they are of a normal car.
Yeah. Well,
and
that's
electricity, when you work it out, it is cheaper. But like, an example is that Renault Zoe. It's like a Mazda. It kind of looks like a Mazda too.
Okay.
So what would you expect it to be? It's 20 grand, yeah? So this is 50 grand.
Yeah, see, that's...
But it feels like I had a look inside one. It feels like a car that's 1899 drive away.
Really?
And this is the problem. You're paying 50 grand. It should be
cheap,
nice inside.
Yeah.
You know, why cheapen out? I understand the technology is expensive, but why cheapen out with the seats and all that?
Well, that's where Tesla, I guess, makes it appealing.
They're not that good inside though. They're not like... Look, they're all right, but they're not, the build quality of a Tesla's probably not as up to...
Oh, look, I've actually never seen one. I've never looked at one. I've like I said, I've only seen them at a distance, so I can't judge in that regard. But from what they are,
there's plenty of supercar, like fast supercars coming out. Like, have you seen that Rimac concept thing? That's the thing. Well, that's the thing that Hammond crashed.
Oh yeah.
That was the concept one, so now they've got a concept two. Okay, I think it's like 0 to 100 in 1.8 seconds, and
look, their performance is unreal in that regard.
At the supercar level. But that's not where you need it. You need it.
No.
And obviously that trickles down into passenger cars, but at the end of the day, until you can walk into Nissan or Toyota and buy a $40,000
EV
car that you can drive all week, and it'll get there, don't get me wrong. And I try and say this to people, friends of mine who aren't into cars, and they'll be like, oh, you've just got your head in your sand about technology. I'll be like, hang on, well, how come you don't have an electric car?
Yeah, exactly.
If it was so appealing, why don't you sell your cars now and buy it? And they don't really have a comeback.
No.
But everyone's got this range anxiety, and it's fair enough.
Oh, well, that's a scary thing. Like, what do you do?
I heard a story the other day about a guy he worked out where a charging station was, and he'd worked out, he couldn't drive there and back, but there was a charging station at some point where he could fill up and top up. So he gets there, it's not working.
Oh.
Something you probably don't think about.
Yeah, but that's like...
the servo's out of action. Oh, I'll find another servo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Work that easy.
Doesn't work
That's
that
just
easy.
the same with being on E85 too. I've
true.
always,
But you could carry...
You can.
With you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Can you carry a charger that you can plug in? But I still find that photo of... I think it was probably doing its rounds over the Christmas break, or just before. It was a photo of, I think it was a Tesla at a charging station, but the charging station must have been down, so they had it plugged into a generator. Did you see that?
No, that was actually at a launch.
Oh, was that at a launch? Was
a
it?
launch thing.
Oh, there you go.
So they had a generator.
The irony.
The irony.
The irony. It's like being in this engine room talking about EV cars. Yeah. Look, I don't think our culture is there. Performance-wise, I mean, it's like it's almost. I was almost thinking about it and comparing it to like the Americans and their gun laws. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how much government tries to, or activists try to bang on about, guns are bad for our country and the conspiracies or whatever that go with it, but Americans have this culture. It's our Second Amendment. We're entitled to it. It's a culture. They grow up with that gun in in their hip almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll never change.
It will never change.
Yeah.
It will never change. And it's the same with us here. Like, you look at the guys that have grown up, like you and me through the 80s and the 90s, we were lucky to get the end of that sort of era of that Bathurst rivalry. Do you know what I mean? Where, Brock was still doing it and Lowndes came in and you had the Ford versus Holden and, Dick Johnson was still going tough and all that stuff.
Well, they were still essentially hotted up road cars.
Correct, yeah. I mean, that was the whole point of that homologation thing, and that's where we grew up with that culture, and even earlier, the older guys that grew up through the, 50s, 60s and 70s, it was that culture of these road cars. And I remember Peter Brock made the ultimate statement. They actually asked Peter Brock when he was alive, God rest his soul, but they asked him when he was alive, what do you think of Michael Schumacher? So this is through the late mid-90s when Schumacher was just dominating the Formula One. And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, look, don't get me wrong, he's a great driver, but he drives a car that they build around him. He goes, we drive cars that are built from factory. So we drive the car drives him. Almost. And I thought, that is so true. Because they were going, and he was talking about, we jump into cars that, you're trying to, do the dipper in Bathurst and you're knocking the windscreen wipers on or the indicators are coming on, because these things are essentially road cars, right? But that's the culture and, that history that we've got as motoring enthusiasts growing up, that's all we know. And it's going to be hard to try to convince, the older generation that grew up with that and probably majority of our generation that, hey, you need to start looking at EV as performance. It's not going to happen. That's the problem.
Yeah.
As much as, and I've always, like I was saying to you, there's options now where you can buy a Tesla drive unit. Right, fair enough.
There's a lot of hot rodding going on.
Yeah, hot rod, absolutely.
Especially in places like California.
California, they need it. Different story because they have really tight emission laws and stuff like that. Fair enough, totally agree. The hot rodding side of things is awesome because you can appreciate it, you can look at it and you can say, you know what, yeah, this is pretty cool. And that's what I've been doing. I've been following that sort of EV cycle and saying, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Like they're putting them in older model Ferraris and Volkswagens and stuff like that, little Beetles and
some
combis.
Of these old cars is cheap, as expensive as it is, it's cheaper to do that than try and find parts for some of these old cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. It's easier to convert it to EV. But you look at what they're selling, like a Tesla drive unit, like I was saying to you, I think they're about 12 grand, right? And you get the touch display, you get the pedal, you pretty much get the whole kit, right? Now, if you think about it, 12 grand US, these things make up to 400 kilowatts per unit. And they're like a transaxle. So you put it in the back, if you want to be really adventurous, put one in the front as well. All of a sudden, you've got a four-wheel drive vehicle that has got almost up to 800 kilowatts on tap. And we're talking, I don't know if you've seen a torque curve of an EV motor. It's instant. Yeah. There's no
the problem I think people run into in that situation is because obviously the battery packs are made for a certain vehicle. So they've sort of got to try and come up with a battery system that'll fit, say, into
something a bit small,
and that's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, the joy of it is that it's another. This is what I mean with you and me. We're open to it. It's another aspect of our industry that can be seen, and enjoyed and appreciated. Really, I mean, I'd love to see a couple more EV cars. Fair enough, they're not as loud and enjoyable. Actually, one of my favourite videos on YouTube, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's a guy with an EV bike, it's a dragster bike, and he's being interviewed by an American news station, and he's doing a burnout. Have you seen it? No. I've got to show you. So he's doing a burnout in this bike. It's a full dragster, so it looks like the full, the 5-second monsters at the dip. But it's got EV. It's an EV thing, and it's a while ago too. So it actually would have be interesting to know what was in it. But he's doing this burnout for this news company, and because the torque is so instant, it's hooked up on the street and it's thrown him. Like I'm talking thrown him right out of the camera view, And he ends up...
He was doing this for the camera.
It's not for the camera. It's live TV, live morning news, right? Like a Today Show or Sunrise, whatever. And he's doing this burnout, trying to say how good this bike is and it's EV and all that stuff. And he throws himself so fast. He's got no helmet on either, yeah? So this thing just slingshots him. There's a black Tarago or like a family SUV style car. Not even 20, 30 metres away. He's gone 100 miles an hour into this thing. He's ended up stone cold on the floor, KO'd. And it's just the business. They just walk up to him and the guy's just gone, KO'd. And this bike has just wedged itself in between the front wheel and the front door. It's literally just jammed in there. It's just, you don't hear anything. There's no noise. So this guy's just sitting there. He goes, he's going to do a burnout now. And he's, and like literally just starts smoking the tyres and then just slingshots him and he's gone. And he just KO'd him. It's pretty funny. Go watch it.
Yeah, I remember I've only driven a Tesla once, but we were in a car park and I had to toot the horn because there was a couple of ladies.
Can't hear.
They can't hear. No. Standing in front of us, we're creeping up on them. Bit dangerous from that point of view.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. That's probably the downfall, really, to the EV stuff. You can't hear it. And I've done it heaps of times. I've walked past EV cars. Well, what the hell? Is this thing even on?
I actually don't like the fact... I think they're finally getting away from trying to make EV cars look like an EV car.
Yeah.
Like, just make
Have you seen the Beamer one, though? There's a new BMW version.
The i3.
Is it i3? I don't know what it is.
One?
It's a really small, ugly thing. It just looks like a shit EV car. It just looks rubbish. It's like, mate, what are you
Hyundai, is it Hyundai? They've got that one called the Koenig or... I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah.
It's a Hyundai, but it's like an SUV. It's like 45 grand.
Well, 45 grand for an SUV.
But that's what I mean. Like
it's not that bad.
It's like finally, it's like something, hey, this is something that might
affordable,
take off.
Yeah, true. But I mean, so, as always, who's the leader in the market, really? You got to wait till everyone comes up to those standards. That's the way I see it because, I mean, Hyundai came in, early 90s as a manufacturer, mid-90s.
Oh, they're killing it now.
They're killing it now. But you look at Hyundai as a brand now and you look at what they're bringing out, different story. But if you compare it to back then...
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Rubbish, you know what I mean? And it's just like...
But a lot of those old Hyundais are still kicking about.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. But until they come up to, I think... a specific benchmark, and that's what I'm saying. Who's the benchmark? Is Tesla the benchmark for good-looking EV cars? You'd say so. Until they stop making them look like EV cars and making them look like roadsters or good-looking road cars, unless you're after the SUV.
Well, they're going to release that model. Is it the Model 3 Tesla? If it ever comes out, it's like the SUV. The one they're claiming it's $35 US.
Oh, okay.
But
so it's more affordable.
Was it going to come out? I think it's going to come out this year. Or it's out. Or is it coming out this year? Here, I can't remember.
Okay.
The problem with a lot of that stuff, they talk about it for
so
long.
It becomes outdated by the time it comes out.
It just becomes, whatever.
Yeah. Look, the only good thing about the EV side of things is obviously creating more jobs in Australia through the lithium mines and stuff like that. That's a good thing. Yeah,
apparently I think we mine the most lithium in the world.
Okay.
I think. At the moment we are.
I think... But Chile? I think Chile's got a big
I don't think we've got heaps of reserves.
Okay.
So it's
not I know there's a big one. I think majority of Tesla's lithium comes from Chile. I could be wrong. It's it's somewhere in South America. There's a big South American mine.
I mean, is that going to become another problem going forward? Because everything runs, phones, everything's running
lithium batteries,
using lithium batteries.
But you look how much lithium is in your phone versus how much lithium is needed for a road car. I mean, it's
but everyone's got one. And then 2 years later they get another one because they don't even need the new one. You know what I mean? Like it's such a...
Yeah. But everything is being run off lithium. All the tradies tools, they're all lithium battery powered.
Right, yeah.
How much have we got? That's got to run out one day. Can it be recycled?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of renewed talk lately about using hydrogen. Have you seen much of that?
No, I haven't actually.
Labor was talking about spending $1.4 billion in Australia on hydrogen development, like network.
Yeah.
Because they can transport it now and store it.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard they can transport it.
It's still expensive to manufacture it.
Because how do they do it? How do they transport it? They break it down.
Don't they change the state of it?
Correct. Yeah, I read that actually. I read that they changed the state of it, and it became. I can't remember how they do it. Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So what they're talking about, hydrogen engines.
Well, it's another possibility because, like we just said, I mean, how much?
But again, it's infrastructure.
Of course. I always wonder though, like, how's it going to go in a car accident?
That's true. Accelerant. Wow. That's a thing. But that's the same with the EV stuff too. Haven't they proven that there's more carbon waste in trying to break down the batteries in EV cars than there is, and then depending how much versus how much they save?
I don't know much about the whole recycling side of it.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're saying. They're saying that I think a combustion engine is probably still more economical on CO2 versus what it takes for recycling or the, what's the word, getting rid of the batteries out of EVs once they've hit their life cycle. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there was more, I think internal combustion engine still is more economical.
I saw an article about that. Yeah. Over the course, it was over the course of say 300,000 miles.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and taking into account creating it and disposing of it.
Yeah, and charging it too.
Yeah. The electric one, according to that article, was still
the internal combustion engine is way more.
But hey, it's such a new technology.
Oh, we're ages away before it's hit its peak. We're ages away, and like you said, we might not even see it in our lifetime, culture-wise, or even the full ability of what EV can do. Do you know what I mean? Fair enough. The range at the moment is minimal. Would you say that was the Jaguar's 300 miles? Well,
a friend of mine, speaking of range, a friend of mine, he's actually into sort of energy efficiency, and he's got two. I said to him, "Hey, you're into energy efficiency and sort of the environment stuff, and you drive around 2 diesel vans." He never thought of it. And one of his diesel vans, I think it was coming up to 100,000 K, so he wanted to update it. It was a VW Caddy.
Yeah.
And we went and we looked at Renault make one called a Kangoo, an EV version.
Yeah.
So you can get it.
Oh, is it? They do an EV version.
An EV version. Okay, it's called the ZE, the Kangoo ZE, I think, from memory.
Yeah.
So the standard base model one is like 25 grand for like 1.2 litre turbo diesel thing, right?
Yeah.
The EV one is 52 grand.
Wow.
But he was actually willing to maybe buy it, even though it was way more expensive, because he likes the idea of electric cars. We looked into it. This thing has 44 kilowatts.
Wow.
Right?
Wow. That's amazing.
It's a range. They're saying real world range is 200.
That's nothing, man. 200 Ks or 200 miles?
200 Ks.
Jesus.
Get this, 0 to 100, 22 seconds.
Oh my God.
But that's deceiving though, because even I know electric vehicles, like their 0 to 30 is quick.
Yeah.
Because of the torque.
Of course, yeah.
Which around town, it's fine if you're just driving in traffic, but you're coming onto a freeway entrance. That's you're going to be buried under a truck.
Absolutely, that's
dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely, that's dangerous.
But I'd love to know. I've never seen one of these.
I haven't either. But in saying that though,
like I wonder how many they've honestly sold. Like,
yeah, who knows? It'd be interesting to know. But I still think that diesel is getting phased out.
No, diesel's finished. In Australia,
gone.
Diesel is
gone.
It's going to be used in transport, trucks for a long time.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
But as passenger vehicles,
gone.
It's finished.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, Porsche and Volkswagen and that, they've just owned it. Like, they're not doing any more development.
They're not, are they? Yeah, so that's it. Diesel's gone. Yeah, turbo diesel.
Because now look at Mazda and that. They're getting sort of diesel like, sort of fuel economy out of petrol. The compression ratios they're running in some of these engines like 13, 14 to 1.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I think SIDI, like the whole direct injection stuff has changed the economy. In saying that, I know this sounds stupid, but the new car that I bought, right? I bought a Territory. I bought an SZ Territory, so a 2013 model Territory. It's got 100,000 Ks.
So for those that don't know, that's the last
of the shape. Now the reason I bought that Territory was because I needed a bigger car for family. And being me, I thought I'll get the Barra version as opposed to the turbo diesel version because, firstly, it's a Barra in it. If anything happens to it, I can replace it for minimal cost, right? And secondly, I thought I wouldn't mind doing a bit of a package on it using all OE parts.
You can't just leave it alone.
No, I can't. Hey, we've got to get the kids to school real quick, right? Just leave it at that. So that's what I bought the car for, right? I thought it serves both purposes. I can, have fun with it and promote it, or, have some fun with it and, maybe squirt it around town, take it to the track a bit and still have that family car. Hey, if it blows up, it's an NA FG style engine in it. $200-300, I've got another engine in there. The ZF, if it blows up, I'll buy a turbo one for $500-600. I'll put it in there. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like, you buy, I want to look fancy. I want to buy an Audi. I want to buy a Volkswagen. I want to buy any European car. Mate, you want to get a replacement box for this thing. It doesn't matter what year model it is. You're going to be paying big bucks for it. You know what I mean? So I thought the Territory actually suits the purpose. Anyway, so I told the boys, I bought a car, sitting around having some drinks. I bought the Territory. Guzzler. Yeah. They come across as a guzzler. I thought, I wouldn't mind testing the theory, right?
I think the earlier 4-speed ones were...
The 4-speed, 4-wheel drive ones were. Yeah. So I thought, let's just test this out. Filled her up. So I put 70 litres in it, and must have had a 75-litre tank, so it must have had some fun. So I put 70 litres of juice in it, so full tank, 75 litres, let's just say for argument's sake. Cruising around town. So I'm talking to work and back, picking up parts, literally serving the purpose of a daily driver. No freeway, no highway, nothing. I got 630 k's out of a full tank. And I could have gone a little bit further and maybe got 650. Around town.
Out
of a 4 litre.
Yeah. So every time you come into a stop,
in petrol,
that's having to move 2 ton every time you take off.
And like I said, I wasn't pussyfooting it around. I wasn't doing anything different. I wasn't driving on the freeway or highway for a couple of hours. Mate, this thing stop start all the way home in traffic, the works, and I'm getting 620, 630 k's. Mate, full tank will take you to Adelaide and back, or take you to Adelaide, no problem. You know what I mean? You'd get 700, almost 800 k's out of a full tank, no worries if you're doing 100 k's and sitting on one speed.
Yeah.
Mate, that's how much more economy do you want? And now tell me that you got to buy.
That's about 3 tanks of fuel in my Subaru.
Well, regardless, dude, I'm actually stoked with the car. I actually couldn't believe it. I told the boys, man, that's actually not bad, and that's a big car with a big engine. It's just done right. Economy's there. I think that's economical in today's standards. Guys,
for a bigger car.
For a bigger car, man, absolutely. Now, I mean, what's a turbo diesel going to get me? The turbo diesel version's 4-wheel drive. That's heavier. That's using more engine load.
Oh, they just, every time you're behind them, it's just briquettes.
That's it. It is.
That's a bit of a nugget engine.
It's a nugget engine. What is it, V6, 3-litre V6 or whatever it is?
Apart from the old Rover.
Something like that. I don't know. That's why I didn't even want one. I thought, no, I'm buying a Barra version.
It's an old engine. Wasn't it sort of old tech when they...
Yeah, mate. Like I said, I wanted the Barra version. I got it. I opened the bonnet. Heaps of room for activities in there. I said, mate, beautiful. Get some FG parts. That trust me, heaps of room for activities. So I thought, I'll make a nice car. And you know what? I got the titanium version. So I got leather. I got roof mounted DVD players. Nice. Mate, it's a nice car. And I'm like, man, it's a shame. It's a shame that the Australian manufacturing, fair enough, I'm supporting the second-hand version. Like, if I knew or if I needed to at the time, I would have bought one of these things brand new. But, you buy the car for under 20 grand and you got something that's luxurious with good economy and that's got the ability to give me some fun. Mate, that ticks every box on the list for me, man. You know what I mean? I just thought, man, great car. And I've never been happier. And you know what? The brand loyalty out the window. I'll drive a Ford. I don't give a crap. No problem at all.
Is that the first Ford you bought?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. So I don't mind jumping the gun or whatever the case.
I've never owned one.
Mate,
never owned a Ford.
Never know if you never try, mate. Never know if you never try. So, it's actually pretty good. I'm happy. So I've got something to keep me entertained now. But it serves a purpose, man. It's a good parts hauler. It's a good family car. It's economical, man. Like, I can't complain. I literally can't complain. I seriously think Ford have done a cracker job with it. Cracker job.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone during the week who, knows what's going on. Obviously, Ford, the only cars they're going to be selling are pickups
and Mustangs,
SUVs, and the only basically, car, I guess you could say, is the Mustang. And that's the only car they've been able to sell outside of Australia.
Wow.
Like nothing else has worked. You know what I mean? They can't get the market.
Well, their SUV, see, they went from the Territory, which was a a Territory in a sense is a Falcon. It's
Falcon.
An SUV
People looked at it as same as a Falcon,
and it is, right. Yeah. And that's why I went, because I was actually looking for the turboed earlier version, because I thought I'll just buy a turboed one already. But then it was the BABF interior. It's a bit older, and it was 4-wheel drive, and I was just like, and it had the earlier model ones, I was told, had the crap front suspension in them too, and they're notorious for their rear bushes and all that crap. And I'm like, and that's when I looked at the fact that, because I wasn't even aware that they came out in a Barra version in the later models. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually not. I'm surprised no one's jumped on it earlier. Such a newer car, so affordable nowadays. You pick one up for just over 10 grand, 12 grand. You can pick up a decent Territory.
Be a good donor car for 2 EV motors.
Here we go. Well, that defeats the purpose in having room in the back, so I needed it to throw parts in the back. But no, I'm happy with keeping it internally combusted and keeping a turbo on the side of it, and I'll have some fun that way. But that's, you get something out of an FG. You get an FG inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, turbo, do your own exhaust and cooler, put 12-13 pounds in it, in a standard engine, NA, on pump juice. Even if it makes you 260, 270 kilowatts at the wheels, that's fun around town.
Turbo torque.
They
make good torque.
Oh, good torque with the ZF behind it. Even if the ZF shits itself, you put a turbo one straight in there. The Barra ones are all rear-wheel drive. So you don't need to worry about finding a four-wheel drive ZF.
Yep.
It's all rear-wheel drive stuff. Bang it in. But like I said, I was going to get the earlier version, but it seemed outdated. The newer ones, the SZs, the all-wheel drive would be a bit heavier too, wouldn't they? The all-wheel drives are a lot heavier, and they chew the juice. That's where they got the bad rep of being a guzzler. Yeah. So, man, I think I've
on a winner.
Oh, I think so. I think I'm on a winner with that one, and I'm happy. You know what? Some people might not like them, but that's what I was trying to say before. So I got carried away talking about it. The Territory was, in a sense, SUV version of the Falcon, whereas now Ford has brought out the Everest, which is an SUV version of the Ranger. So they've obviously tried to cash in on the Ranger's success, and I don't know how good that's gone, because you don't see a lot of them on the road.
I can't say I've seen heaps of them.
Yeah, I see it every now and again, and then they've got that other one.
Don't know. I reckon that Mazda CX series are very popular.
A mate of mine just bought a CX-5, and very well finished car. Very well finished car. Interior-wise, dash.
The current ones?
It's the latest model.
Nice
look nice.
They look like they're worth more than they are.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I mean, that's always good. And actually, these might be turbo diesel too, actually.
They do sell a diesel.
They do sell a diesel, yeah. Oh, no, I don't know. I've got to ask, actually. I didn't know what his is. But, yeah, they're a nice... They're a nice car. They do look nice.
Yeah, I can't see diesel... Another 10 years, I can't see too many manufacturers selling diesel passenger cars.
Brand new.
Nah.
No. Yeah, that's a problem. But in saying that too, like LPG's gone.
Yeah.
LPG's like when I had my previous car, that was a dual fuel car, and I used to run it on LPG. You can't find it anymore.
A lot of servos don't even carry it.
Yeah, I actually went into a servo. It's a bit like that guy with the EV station that was closed down. Same thing. I went to this servo, went to fill up, and looking around, I actually went inside. I said, "Where's your LPG?" She goes, "We don't have one." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "We don't sell enough of it, so we got rid of it." But you got E85. She's like, yeah. It was a United fuel survey. They had E85, they didn't have LPG. Go figure. So they are slowly phasing certain things out.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite a different landscape in 10 years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I don't know, because we probably grew up in a very good era of...
I think we grew up in the best era
of cars.
Yeah, I think
such a technology change as well. Like from going from the whole EFI boom, bigger, brakes and tires have changed.
I think we grew up in the right era.
I just think cars have become stale, and obviously to be viable now, they have to make a car that's going to sell, say, 400,000 units. Yeah. So it's got to be on a global platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then the choice of engines narrows dramatically.
Yeah, it does. And we were talking about before with the homologation series, and back when Brock and Johnson and that were racing cars that were built for the market, it was exactly that. They were building road cars that had to be raced. Do you know what I mean? And they had that connection. You could manufacture a sports car or a hottie, or like HSV have been.
That's what I wonder with the current supercars.
Yeah.
Where is it going to be in 5 years?
Yeah. Nowhere. What engines are they going to be running? Like,
I know it's not so much. I know that they don't really represent what you buy.
No,
but it's
not at all.
How's the rivalry going to sort of?
And that's where I think
Holden rivalry is going to dissipate.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was trying to say earlier with that culture. We grew up with this culture, watching Brock race a street car. You know what I mean? And that's where you can appreciate, or you can even give the guy some credit for being a good driver in his field, because he was racing a road car. Now, like you're saying, the latest cars don't represent what you're buying. So how can you have a Ford or Holden love or, following or, dedication to that one brand when that brand doesn't represent initially what you're driving? Oh yeah, it's a VF, and or it's I won't say ZB because God forbid that's a that's a bad word with the Holden fans, but it's a VF or a VE, and oh yeah, I've got this. No, mate, but it's not the same car. Do you know what I mean?
At the moment, you've got a lot of people still modifying VFs because they're still.
Oh, they've become. Well, I won't say they've become affordable, but they're still got a good price tag on them.
There's plenty of guys who might buy a new VF. They mod it. They keep it for 5 years and they buy the next model.
Can't do that anymore.
What are they going to do?
They can't do that anymore. I had customers that were trading in VEs and that, buying VFs because, hey, it's the last of the V8 Commodore that they think they're going to get. I still think, and I'm hoping, it's more hoping rather than think, I'm still hoping that, and it's sort of, I've seen recent news articles that, Holden sales have plummeted and, these companies are starting to feel the pinch of losing that Australian manufacturing. Look, I don't think they're going to bring it back in a hurry because that's not going to be financially viable, because setting up a production line again isn't cheap. But at the same time, I think Holden is in a position where instead of importing cars from Europe, bring the stuff in from the States. Like, I reckon the market would go absolutely wild for the Cadillac-based stuff that's in America.
But the problem is none of them are produced in a right-hand drive.
I know that.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem. Fair enough. That's where, instead of setting up a production line...
Ford was smart with the Mustang.
Well, that's it. Why can't Holden do the same? Hang on a minute. We were sending Monaros over there left-hand drive. Hey, mate, come on, set it up in a right-hand drive and bring it over.
And the last Camaro was actually designed in Melbourne.
Well, there you go. That's right.
Yeah, it was never set up as for right-hand drive export. And
that's where they're getting it wrong. That's where they're getting it wrong.
You've seen that new Camaro come out. Look, people will buy them, even though they're expensive, but it doesn't replace a Commodore because it's a two-door.
It's a two-door, yeah. It's not a family sedan.
They all think it's weird that we drive around in four-doors.
Yeah, they do.
But
I think that's why the Monaro was so popular over there.
Yeah, where it's going to go, I don't know. But I reckon that's it for this episode.
You reckon?
Yeah.
We're all done?
Yeah.
That was an easy one.